Good morning. I'm pretty excited about today's video. Ever since the borders in Japan have opened up for tourism last November of 2022, I've been getting a lot of questions from my family, friends, and acquaintances about pretty much like anything related to traveling in Japan, whether it be where they should go, what they should eat, maybe things they should know, and how they can get around. And because I'm getting a lot of repeat questions, I actually created a Google Excel sheet going over all of that. It's a brain dump of everything I've known since living in Japan for about 1.5 years now. And in today's video, we'll be going over that. I have linked the sheet down below in the description, and then it'll also be linked in the pinned comment. So please check it out when you have the time. Compared to the usual video guides you typically see, I decided, how can I best help my friends kind of move their planned trip from a dream to a reality. So the Google Excel sheet is not very sexy, but I think it is very helpful. It's meant to be a resource. You don't have to read it all straightforward, but rather you can just click around and pick which information works best for what you need when planning your trip. So without further ado, let's get started. This is the Google Excel sheet. When I made it, I originally made it for just my friends, families, and acquaintances, and some of them have found it helpful and said I should share it to the world. So here we are, everyone. Hi, I'm Brenda. I make guides and things for fun, just for my friends. The pages that I'm most proud of is honestly the first page, the second page of the tourism website, and then the fourth page of the transportation system, kind of explaining it because I had a hard time navigating the transportation system for a while in Japan. It's a little bit different from the other countries I've been to, and definitely coming from Los Angeles, we don't use public transportation often. I just drive around. Just wanted to give a little sneak peek. Let's start with the first page. First page, I have introduction in case people only looked at the file. Next up is getting to Japan. It's simple steps, but I hope that by creating these steps, it kind of just helps people use it as a checklist to kind of simplify how overwhelming it can feel sometimes to be planning such a trip, especially if you're planning with friends and things like that. And that's why for step 2, I also have a friends group travel template. Wow! If that's something you're interested in, then please click subscribe to below if you want to see that next. Next up, there is step 3. There is something called the JR Pass that some people may or may not know about. So I pretty much added links to all of these things. So what I like most about this is that while I do put these steps here, I also try to link a lot of resources or my comments about those resources that I would tell a friend if they were to ask me. And I think you could find that really helpful. Next up is before coming to Japan, for example, there are things like the website to fast track your quarantine, immigration, and customs procedure at the airport. This website literally aired November of last year, 2022, when they opened the borders up for tourism. My family has used this and it's pretty amazing. Like once you get the QR code, you literally just skip through quarantine, immigration, customs really quick with just scanning your QR code and then get on out. And what I also noticed at the airports is that SIM and data and things like that, getting internet on your phone is actually quite pricey in Japan. So I've been using this resource for pocket Wi-Fi, which is iVideo. You may have heard of it from other YouTubers. And I remember when I first went on the website, it looked kind of sketchy and clunky, but it works. I have used this service a number of times. My brother and my friends have used it, and it's been reliable and very affordable. So I recommend it personally for traveling. Next up is splitting expenses with your friends so that you guys don't fight over money and have bad blood and things like that. My friends and I always use Splitwise and TriCount. We have things like currency exchange. We have the AAA international driver's permit. And then after that, when you're arriving in Japan, there's some information you may or may not know. Like there's a luggage delivery service and it's not too expensive. I think for me, it was roughly like 2,000 something yen. It's usually at the airport. I feel like if you have one checked baggage, it's easier just to move that luggage around with you through the train system and transfers. But if you have like 2 checked luggages that you're trying to like roll around, it can get really frustratingly annoying and exhausting, especially after a long flight. So if you have the budget for it, I recommend doing the luggage delivery service where they can drop it off and send it to your hotel or your friend's place or wherever. Keep in mind though, you will need a Japanese phone number. So it should either be you should know your friend's Japanese phone number or the hotel's phone number, maybe the Airbnb's too. Double check with them. And then at the Narita airport, you should check out getting the Keisei Skyliner train to get from the airport to the middle of Tokyo. For the Kansai International Airport, there's 2 train companies you could take to get to the city. And then there's a taxi. Taxis are expensive. You don't need to know about those. Okay, tourism websites. I actually really like this page. So we have the main tourism website, the official Japan tourism website. I highly recommend using it in case you want to explore what are your options, where you want to go in Japan, even beyond Tokyo, Osaka, Kyoto, Okinawa, Hokkaido, the more popular prefectures. There is a lot to offer, so definitely start there. After that, there are some list of blogs that I personally use often during my time in Japan to know about, local events or festivals happening in the area or in a prefecture, or usually they have the weekend events and what festivals, where they're going to be, when they're going to be. It's amazing. I recommend them. There's some links to some amusement parks that are just fun to go to, so I have those there. And my favorite part is this official tourism website by prefecture. So I don't know where I heard this, so I don't know if it's true, but it kind of makes sense to me, is that the Japanese government wants to expand the benefits of tourism in their country from beyond the more popular cities, as I said earlier, Tokyo, Osaka, Kyoto, Nara, Hokkaido, Okinawa. And so there's actually a tourism website for every prefecture in Japan. And I'm like really impressed with that. So I just compiled them all here and I highlighted the more common ones in case people just want to go to the more popular ones. And then next up is tourism by area. It's limited to my experiences. They're generally keywords you can Google. Just recently, I did sake tasting and gripped Sumi Ink yesterday. I didn't even know these were a thing. But now I definitely want to go sake tasting more. You pretty much go to like a local brewery. Sometimes or more often than not, it's run by a family, and you can pay like 100 yen for each cup of like sake you try. They're different bottles, and from there you can decide which bottles you want to buy. I think that's amazing because sometimes when you go to the store, there's sake there, but you don't know how they taste. And even more so, you get to have that personal connection with the family or staff of that brewery. It's pretty cool. And then another page I am proud of is this Navigating the Transportation in Japan page. What I found compared to other countries is that other countries, their transportation system will typically be like run by the government. It's like a public metro system or public subway system. But in the case in Japan is that their train systems are actually run by both public and private organizations. And that's actually does slightly impact how you get around. I mean, it's not that noticeable, but it's just like minor details. And if you understand that, it can help put like reading your Google Maps into perspective, which honestly I go over here. And then there's even things like different types of trains. So for example, there is a base fare and then there is a reserved ticket price. I didn't know there were two tickets and like how that works when you are going through the ticket gate. So I've explained that all here, especially when you're, again, reading the Google Maps, which we will get to shortly. So scrolling down further, I kind of have a guide of how I usually read a Google Maps, kind of like what trains to get, how to transfer, what kind of train it is, how long it's going to take. And it's been really helpful for me. Just like, it's kind of become routine over time, but I've done that here. So please take a look at that. I'm pretty proud of it. I thought about, man, what if I created a separate video for this? But I'm like, this page does the job. Okay, page 5, word vomit of keywords to Google. I was talking to one of my friends the other day. I debated about like recommending specific restaurants, but honestly, me as one person, I can't go to all the restaurants in town. And I feel like compared to the US and Asia, there's just so much food. There's so much restaurants. Sometimes you have like the same 5 takoyaki stands in one street, and I don't know how they stay in business with that kind of competition, but they do. So what we've found has been most important is just knowing the keywords of what foods we want to try, and then just Google that when you're in the area. Just pick like a local close area based on the reviews. So yeah, I created a bunch of lists here for you to Google and try and take a look. And a quick note about Google reviews in Japan is that you will find that a lot of the restaurants or things are usually around like 3 or 4 stars, but never really 5 stars, maybe occasionally 4.5. I just want to talk about how like maybe the Japanese culturally review restaurants and places different than they do in the States. So in the US, if a restaurant either meets your expectations or exceeds it, it usually gets about a 4-star or a 5-star. Like, okay, they did their job. But in terms of Japan, they put 3-star as like it met expectations, it was decent. And then 4 stars is like they did some nice things, they exceeded my expectations. And 5 stars, like they really exceeded my expectation. They're amazing, they are perfect, they are kanpeki desu. So if you see a restaurant that's like 3 point something stars, that's pretty decent actually. It just means like it's decent, like average. And then anything beyond that is good. Anything below that, kind of questionable. If you see 2 stars, like run. And then key language phrases. I did not invest in making this page that much because there's already a lot of blogs going over it. What I cared most about was whenever I was outside, it was more about listening for keywords than saying it, because saying it, you could just say yes, no, or like gesture, I want one of this, 5 of this, things like that. But things like whenever they're asking like, do you want a bag? And I was like, ofukuro. I was like, I did not know that word, but I always say that. Next up, packing list. I pretty much reused this page, just copied pasted it from a previous friend's trip that we had. My friend designed it and then I used it, and now I'm copying pasting it and smacking it here for you to use. Please take a look, copy it, edit it, however you feel like. I kept in some of the words of what we brought over in case it gave some people some ideas of what they would like to add to their luggage and packing list. And it's really great for before your trip when you're putting everything in your luggage, and then near the end of your trip you want to check if you have everything from before. And lastly, some important culture notes. They are not rules, they're not social rules, but there's definitely a lot of mannerisms, subtle mannerisms that you may not know as a tourist visiting Japan for a short time compared to like as someone living in Japan for a long time, and I just slowly pick up and observe the mannerisms. Sometimes even the Japanese don't know some of these because they just do it automatically. I also didn't write too much here. And then lastly is health clinic hospital. I'm not too familiar with the process is as a tourist looking for a clinic or a hospital, so I've decided to share the website, the official website instead. Let me show you. This is what the website looks like. Please go ahead and take a look at it. Hopefully you'll never have to be in this situation, but if you are. But yeah, I hope you found today's video helpful. If you have any questions or comments about Japan, living in Japan, things like that, please comment them down below. And if you'd like to see similar content like this, then please click subscribe. Okay, thanks for watching and see you guys soon. Bye.